Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Larkins and I'm going to be teaching you how to subtract integers. It is chapter 1, lesson 3 of Big Ideas. So take out your notes and turn to a new page and start with the title at the top with 1.3. You're going to be writing down 7 things in your notes today. Okay, so in this first one, just watch what I'm talking about and then I'll ask you to write it down in your notes. Let's look at these 2 examples here. First question is 3 minus 5. So the way we would do this is we start by we're starting at a positive 3, so our dot would start right there. When we subtract, we're going in the negative direction. So we are going to start at that positive 3, and we're going to go in the negative direction, and we're going to go minus 5 or negative 5. And if you notice, if we do 5 swoops this way, 3 minus 5 would land us right here on this negative 2. So 3 minus 5 is a negative 2. For our next example, it has us starting on a negative 1. So if I start right there on that negative 1, and I'm subtracting 3, I'm going 3 in the negative direction. That would put me right at negative 4. So starting at negative 1, subtracting 3, it lands us right at negative 4. So if you would, go ahead and pause the video, and let's have you draw a quick number line, and then put these 2 examples. You could put one on the top in a certain color, and one on the bottom in a certain color. And then push play when you're ready to continue. Okay, let's continue. On this section, I just want you to watch. Many teachers will teach this concept using something called keep, change, change. The concept is stating that subtracting is the same as adding its opposite. I don't like to use this method, but I thought I'd go ahead and show you just in case you ever saw it on another worksheet, or if you watch some other kind of video, this is what they're teaching. So they're saying that if we keep this 4, change the subtraction to addition, and then change that positive 9 to a negative 9, subtracting is the same as adding its opposite. So let's keep the 4. It says to change the subtraction to an addition, and then the opposite of that 9 is a negative 9. So 4 plus negative 9, we have different signs subtract, so we're going to keep the sign of the larger absolute value. Team negative has more than the positive, so this would be a negative 5. So keep, change to addition, change to a negative 10. Keep the negative 2, change to addition, change that to a negative 10. Negative 2 plus negative 10, same signs, add and keep, that would be a negative 12. Now, the reason I don't like to use this method is I don't think you need to have this as an addition question. So I'm going to show you that it's kind of my method. It's just one of these. I know that we're starting on a positive 4, and when we subtract, we're going in the negative direction. So I always tell my students the sign to the left of the number gives the name positive or negative. So there is no sign in front of that 4, but you've learned from when you were in kindergarten that it's just a positive 4. And then the sign in front of that 9 is a negative 9, or it's a negative. So it's a positive 4 and a negative 9. They need to come together, but they don't add. They subtract. Different signs are going to subtract. You're going to keep the sign of the larger absolute value, which is the negative 9. So 4 minus 9, 4 going in the negative direction, 9 would give us an answer of negative 5. So circle the number, including the sign to the left. Circle the number and the sign to the left. Both of these are negatives, a negative 2 and a negative 10. When they join together, they are a negative 12. They are same signs, so they're going to add. If you start at -2 and it's going in the negative direction for the 10, it's getting more negative. So that is a -12. So let's have you write this down in your notes. The sign to the left of an integer is its team name. Team positive, team negative. And whichever one has the most, they will win the fight and they will have that sign be the answer. So write down the title here. These are the steps. I want you to circle the number and the sign to the left, and then use the rules from the song. If you want to write that down again, it wouldn't hurt you to write that down so your brain remembers it. Go ahead and hit pause while you get this in your notes. Okay, let's do some practice. I just want you to watch me do these examples just so you can see it done correctly over and over. All right, I had to get rid of that other set. Okay, my method says to circle the number and the sign to the left. +8. It's not just a 10, it is a -10. They have different signs. 8 minus 10 is going to end up in the negatives. Different signs are going to subtract, so 10 minus 8 is 2. Our answer is a -2 because it has more negative than it does positive. Next question. 3 has a negative in front of it, and the 4 has a negative in front of it. Same signs, add and keep. So you add these together and you keep the negative sign. -3 minus 4 is going in the negative direction. It gets more negative, and so your answer is -7. All right, the third one here. 7 has a negative in front of it, and the 5 has a positive in front of it. So we have different signs on this one. Different signs are going to subtract, and you keep the sign of the larger value, the larger absolute value. So negative has more than the positive does. Subtract them. 7 minus 5 is 2. And our answer is a negative because the negative has more than the positive. All right. 1 has a negative in front of it. 8 has a negative. Same signs. Add and keep the sign. 1 plus 8 is 9. It's going to be a -9 because they both have negatives. All right, on this next set, it's your turn. So go ahead and pause the video, write down these 6 questions. You can give it a try, use pencils, so if you have to erase, you can erase later. And then push play when you are ready to begin. All right, let's see how you did. 6 minus a -5 is the same thing as 6 plus 5. Which the answer is 11. All right, 14 minus 7 minus a -7. That would be a positive here, big plus sign. 14 plus 7 is 21. They're both positive. This one is a -8, but over here we have that double negative. So we want to make a big plus sign out of those. -8, +6. That -8 has more negatives than the positive. So it's going to be a -2. Different signs subtract. Keep the sign of the larger absolute value. All right, how did you do? Okay, again, I want you to watch on this one. We have lots going on here. I'm going to circle the integer with the sign to the left. There's a -7. But we've got that double negative, a negative right next to the subtraction sign right next to the negative. Make a big plus sign. And then over here, that's a +12 now. This is a -14. Now, order of operations, you can go to left to right, but we also can combine like terms. I'm going to do it 2 ways. We can put these 2 together, and then we'll do that -14 here in a minute. -7 plus 12. We have more positive than negative, and so that would be 12 minus 7 is a 5, and it's going to be a +5 because he had more absolute value than the negative did. So let's drop down this 14 minus 14 here. So positive 5 minus 14, that's going to end up in the negatives. That would be a negative 9. Now, let me rewrite that question real quick. If I had that negative 7, a plus 12, and a minus 14, I can circle my negatives and add those together, combine those. 7 plus 14 is 21, but we're going to keep that negative sign. So negative 21 plus 12. So now we have a negative 21, positive 12. The negative has more negative than it does positive. I'm going to go over to the side. I'm not so good with borrowing in my head. All right, that's a 9. All right, so we keep the sign of the larger absolute value. Our answer is negative 9. So we have the same answer. I just did it in 2 different ways. Okay, your turn. Go ahead and push pause and then push play when you're ready to check your answer with me. All right, let's see how you did. All right, negative 9, negative 16, negative 8. We have 3 negative numbers. When we join those negatives together, that's a lot of negatives. So we're going to add them all together because they have the same signs. They're on the same team. So we have 9 and 16, that's 25. And another 8, we're going to add those together and get a 13, 3. And they're all negative, so they stay team negative. Don't take away their team sign. Over here, same thing. They're all negative. They all play for team negative. So we have 24 here, plus 9 more. That's going to be 33 again, but we're in the team negative. How did you do? All right, this last one is a word problem. The picture shows a diver diving from a platform. The diver reaches a depth of 4 meters. That word depth is important. Means how deep it goes under the water, so that's going to be a negative integer. And the question is asking, what is the change in elevation of the diver? So there's a couple of things that we want to make sure we understand. Depth and the word change. The word depth is a negative 4. That means when she dives and hits the water over here, she actually goes down 4 feet below the surface. So that's going to be a negative 4, starting right there at the surface. The word change, we definitely need to write in our notes what that means. Change is range that shows direction. So let's kind of review what range is. I'll give you a quick example. If you have test scores and your test scores are 80%, 70%, 60%, and 90%. So range, to find the range, you take the biggest number and you subtract the smallest number. So the range of your test scores of this data set would be 90 minus 60. So the range of your data is 30. So we have to find the largest number and subtract the smallest number, and then make sure that our change is showing the direction. What direction is this diver going? She's going in the negative direction because she's going down. That's going to be a negative direction. So I already know that our change is going to equal a negative number. So to find the range, you take the 2 numbers, and our integers are negative 4 and that positive 11. So which one of those is larger? Well, any positive number is going to be the largest number. So our actual equation, if you would like to call it, is 11 minus, we have to subtract the smallest number. Well, our smallest number, guys, is a negative number. And when we do a minus a negative, remember we have to make that into a big plus sign. So 11 minus a negative 4 really is a positive 15. But because it's asking for change, we need to show that direction. So our answer is the change in elevation is negative 15 meters. And if you look at her picture, it makes sense. She starts up here, she goes down 11, and then she goes down 4 more for a total of 15 in the negative direction.